Good morning to all of you. Honorable Chairman, Board of Governors, Shri Kumar, Professor Mohan Avare, Director of the Institute, Dr. Rajan Pudur, Registrar of the Institute, members of Board of Governors, Deans, Heads of Departments, faculty members, distinguished guests, graduating students and their proud parents, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a matter of great privilege and honor to address you on this occasion of the 11th convocation of NIT Arunachal Pradesh. First of all, I extend my hearty congratulations to all the graduating students for having achieved a landmark through excellent academic performance. Contribution of the parents needs not only a mention but also sincere appreciation, as it is their support that has enabled you to reach where you are today. At the same time, I commend the faculty members for their efforts in imparting training and guidance to the students, enabling them to realize the goal. From time immemorial, humans have made use of their abilities to observe their surroundings and develop tools and gadgets to help themselves navigate their life in this world. Initially, there was intense struggle to survive, requiring physical strength to deal with other life forms around them. As they found unequal strength in other life forms, they came up with tools like sharpened stone, etc., to inflict impactful damage and gain ascendancy over others. They further found effective ways of combating and keeping them safe by evolving tools like sharpened sticks, bows and arrows, and later even guns. They also saw that their own ability to move was maybe few kilometers an hour. They saw many other animals moving much faster. So they domesticated them, started riding on them, covering hundreds of kilometers. And today you have seen all kinds of vehicles which are run on physical strength, like cycles, then motorcycles, cars, etc. Similarly, they saw birds flying, and today you have seen human being has created aircrafts and rockets taking you to even other planets. In a very similar manner, when he was looking at objects at a far distance, he created telescopes and then started looking at them. And when he wanted to see microorganisms, he created actually microscopes from electron microscopes and see. Basically what you are seeing here is human being came to this world with basically 5 sensing elements, and then he started building a capability which is beyond the bandwidth of these 5 elements. If you look at your own eyes, you can see between 400 to 700 nanometers only. But then today you have seen a whole lot of instruments which have been devised, which looks at nature, how things happen. What I could not have seen, like the infrared cameras, X-rays, and a whole lot of things, SAR, synthetic aperture radar. So basically what you are seeing is human being is all the time trying to look at nature and then mimic what he sees there by building appropriate tools. Initially, he also found ways by which his or her own physical strength requirements were being enhanced by machines. And whether it is simple levers, or today you already have seen huge machines which can do equivalent of thousands of people's work by being carried out by a machine. Then he concentrated on intellectual capability. Today you have seen that starting with simple mechanical calculators, he started building computer systems. While the first computer occupied a room bigger than this, today the small gadget you carry in your hand has more processing capability than the first computer that was built. And in this, he is trying to mimic the asli intelligence you carry. So in a way, what I am trying to impress upon you is what human being has been trying to do with the world is primarily enhance the 5 sensors he was provided with and going beyond that in terms of limitations which it provides. And so far you can realize that there is nothing in this world which has been created by a human being, the concept of which does not exist nature. So why is it important to understand and why is it necessary? I'll just narrate to you a couple of things. We are all very familiar. We got our independence in 1947 after many hundreds of years of external subjugation. At that time, the requirement for the country was provide food, shelter, and education to its citizens. At that time, in 1957, human being got a new capability, a new disruptive technology of going beyond planet Earth into space. So this availability of space technology, while the initial development happened because two superpowers were trying to demonstrate who is more powerful and who is more capable. A great visionary scientist of this country, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, was looking at how this technological capability of going beyond planet Earth can help India negotiate its problems of providing broadcasting, communication, weather monitoring to the country. So in 1957, when the first Sputnik was put into orbit by Russians, Sarabhai, with the help of his friends across the globe, brought sounding rockets in the form of kits, got it assembled in Tumba near Trivandrum. And in that beach, when the first experiments had to be conducted, he had to convince the fishermen of that region that you allow us to conduct these experiments today, one day the country will benefit. Even for convincing the fishermen, he had to take the services of the priest of a church there. I'm sure many of you would have seen in the pictures a dilapidated church which was used for the first assembly of the rockets. And as though what Sarabhai had promised the fishermen, what India was able to do is, from 1999 onwards, by looking at the color of the ocean from orbiting satellites, identifying the chlorophyll, and through that the food chain of the fish, it was possible to tell where exactly in the ocean, if the fisherman goes, he can capture the fish. In fact, from 99 onwards, a center in Hyderabad called Indian National Center for Ocean Information System started providing this data to the fishermen. You are all very familiar. We have 7,500 kilometer long coastline and millions of fishermen depend for their livelihood for catching fish in the ocean. And this act alone saves to the country between 10 to 15,000 crores a year, because the amount of time the fisherman has to spend to reach the fish and also the amount of petrol and diesel he spends gets significantly reduced. To this, recently we added a new capability. You are all very familiar in the small gadget you carry in your hand. Using global positioning system, you are able to locate yourself. India came up with a very unique constellation of only 7 satellites, while Americans, Russians, Chinese and Europeans built 24 to 32 satellite constellation. India achieved this with only 7 satellites in geostationary and geosynchronous orbits, covering a region beyond our boundaries up to 1500 kilometers. Today, a small battery operated gadget can be fitted to the boat of the fisherman, and a mobile in the hands of the fisherman, which does not have any connectivity with a terrestrial tower, because once you go a few kilometers into the ocean, no terrestrial tower can reach your mobile. This mobile communicates with the gadget using Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and an app on the mobile showcases to the fisherman in a video compass mode where he has to go for fishing. Not only that, he gets an alert if the weather vagaries are going to be unbearable and sea state roughness, which is predicted, is unbearable. And also in his mother tongue, alert is given, because many times you would have seen in the papers our friendly neighboring countries capture the fishermen because they wade into their waters. So this alert is also given to the fisherman in his mother tongue. So you can see here that a person who does not know reading or writing is getting the benefit of the most advanced technology of a rocket taking a satellite into the orbit, and through that providing specific information. In a very similar manner, initially when the broadcasting and communication was not available in the country, using geostationary satellites, India was able to provide to its citizens not only broadcasting and communication, which made a huge impact. and also in terms of weather monitoring using geostationary satellites. You can look at how cloud movement occurs, and through that you can actually predict well in advance where and when a particular cyclone hits the coastal region, and this also saves between 10 to 15,000 lives whenever super cyclones hit the coastline. What I am trying to basically impress upon you is the use of the most advanced technology of space was adopted in the country to bring in benefits to the country in terms of the rapid growth, in terms of communication, broadcasting, weather monitoring, and also even identifying what kind of crops are there, what is the crop yield this year, and a whole lot of things. Starting in the early 50s, India has reached a stage where not only it has demonstrated, it has built its own launch vehicles, its own satellites, and a host of applications. It has also demonstrated to the world that we can build instruments and then take them to space and do things which others have found it very, actually in a way, you can even say jealous. For example, when Chandrayaan 1 was launched, actually you are aware, man had landed on the moon and a large number of probes had touched the surface of the moon. But still, Chandrayaan 1 gets the credit for discovering the presence of water molecule and the process of water molecule formation. And then beyond 2008, again moon became a very important destination, and today you are seeing not only nations, even private companies are trying to reach moon. And similarly, when we went to Chandrayaan 2, we had the idea of landing a rover on the surface of the moon, and because we were trying to attempt something which was different from what we had been doing up to that time, the rockets we were building had engines which were operating in a mode where once you start the engine, it delivers a fixed force or thrust till its fuel gets exhausted. But when you want to land an object on a planetary surface, you need throttleable engines. That means like accelerating, decelerating. So such engines were required. So we were building it for the first time. And we fell short of our target by a little bit in 2019 when we tried to touch down the surface of moon. But then, not actually deterred by the failure, India worked towards it, and last year you saw August 23rd, India demonstrated to the world that we can land a Vikram lander and Pragyan rover in a region where nobody else had gone. And also you saw many others attempted in that vicinity of the period, and some succeeded and many others had many problems, showcasing that this activity had a lot of technological challenges in that, and Indians were capable of achieving that. In a similar manner, when you look at Mars mission, it was proved that in its very first attempt, India was able to demonstrate that you can make an object travel a distance of 600 million kilometers over 10 months, and at the end of that period, be at a specific point in space. You imagine a 50-kilometer cube in space on a particular day and time. If the satellite was not inside that cube, it would not have been possible for us to reach the actually orbit of the Mars. And then this was also demonstrated. World really took note of this and then appreciated the effort. Why I'm trying to tell you all this is, all this happened in a country which got its independence after many hundreds of years of external subjugation, and with many young engineers and scientists like your institutions who worked in this area, demonstrated to the world that no matter what your resource constraints are, what your limitations are, if you make up your mind, if you do a dedicated, focused attempt, you can achieve a success in any field. And this is what ISRO has demonstrated to the country. And today, you are very familiar, India has moved to the 5th largest economy and is aspiring to reach the topmost portion well before our 100 years of independence. And if that has to happen, who are the people who are going to work towards that? Do you expect somebody from outside the country come here and create conditions conducive for that? Definitely not. Because if external Western world is the target of many students of this country, why is it happening? because those people put their sweat and blood and created an environment where people felt it more comfortable to go there, pursue their studies, pursue their jobs. But if India has to achieve such a thing, it is you and me who have to work for this land, work for the success of this, and the amount of effort we put will determine what is going to happen. You have already seen how the thought processes of this land is very different from rest of the world. You saw in the COVID times, or for that matter, in any situation, basic human nature is how can we take advantage of this situation and earn or gain economically. When the COVID occurred, we saw how micro mechanisms actually interrupted the life across the globe. And while many other companies and countries were looking at how can we take economic advantage of that, India not only solved the problem for itself by building its own vaccination system and the treatment required, but it also provided this solution to other needy countries, not for economic benefits. In a very similar manner, you saw that our software experts were being made fun of by a lot of people, saying they are e-coolies. But today you saw that the same set of software experts have created a fintech solution which is breaking the backbone of the financial techniques and credit card systems and others. And India also has shown the world that the life, human life, requires all other life forms to be respected, and nature is very essential component of this. You need to respect nature, and it's only when you get into sustainable activities, not only life on planet Earth can survive, but then human being also can actually continue to live on this planet Earth. Today we have seen the rapid development of technologies. With each new technological capability, discriminate growth is not correct. It is only when you do growth by paying attention to ecological things, what is happening in the surrounding, you can get sustainable living. I would just like to give you one example of this, how the tribal mindset of this country still preserves this basic knowledge. One of the examples is a professor, management professor, who spends a lot of his time dealing with tribal people, was going into a forest with a father and son. Now father climbs a tall tree where there is a honeycomb or beehive, and the son climbs the tree and he puts a blanket around himself, picks the queen bee, puts the queen bee on his shoulder, and with a sickle in his hand, he chops off 1/4 of the beehive, which is collected by the father on a blanket on ground. Son puts the queen bee back, all the bees go back there, he climbs down. Now the management professor asks the father, see, we teach in our management schools, you should maximize your return. Whatever you are doing, you should extract maximum benefit out of that. But here I am seeing you are left 3/4 of the beehive there only, you took only 1/4. Why are you doing that? Now what the father tells the management guru is worth noting. He says, as it is, we are eating into the fruits of these bees. We need to take the honey only for our requirements of medicine for our children, and we need to use only what we need and not over exploit. You can see here the basic land, the values of the system and values of the people of this land. And it is this valuing nature and valuing other life forms while you need to grow is what needs to be understood. And it is here India can show to the world that the way to live on planet Earth is not indiscriminate growth, indiscriminate technological development, but then development which pays attention to your surroundings. So in this manner, I'm sure all of you had an extensive learning experience in an institute like this. And you will also remember, not many in this country had the privilege of going to such institutions. In fact, because you have gone through such an institution, you also have a responsibility, because you need to contribute to the growth of the country, growth of the society, and then all the knowledge and skills you have acquired, you will also realize that the pace at which the world is changing is so rapid that the knowledge and skills you have acquired, if you do not enhance it and if you do not keep learning new things as you progress, it will be very much limited, and then very soon you will run out of your skill to deal with the situation. And it is here that the pace at which the world is changing, you need to take stock of and keep your learning process in a continuous one, learning, relearning. And it is here that people like actually one who has written that Future Shock, he has shown how the ability to learn and relearn is very important. And similarly, in today's world of technological gadgets, probably many of you may not even realize the small gadget you are carrying in your hand is influencing your life so much. Many of you may not be even aware of that. Earlier, if somebody had to come to you and influence you, they had to cross the boundaries, get through the security, sit in front of you, talk to you, and through that they will be in a position to influence you. But today, none of that is required. A person anywhere in the world, through the gadget you carry, can access you and influence you without your knowledge. What is also told is the hormonal changes occurring in you can be detected by this gadget even before you realize it is happening. Why I am only mentioning it to you is world is changing at a very rapid pace, and if you have to survive and if you have to make a difference to the world, not only should you be looking at how things are changing, what are its deep impacts, and because you had the privilege of going through an educational process which is very different from many other citizens of the country, you also have a responsibility to deal with that problem and protect the society. So let me take this opportunity to compliment each one of you for achieving what you have done today and reminding you that you are where you are today because your parents sacrificed many things, your teachers sacrificed many things and brought you to the level you are. And you have a wonderful opportunity today. The country is growing, a lot of economic developments are happening, and with all this in place, you have a great opportunity to showcase your own ability. And if you become aware of your own self, what you are, and the basic facility that the nature has provided, it has provided with you with 5 Gnanendriyas, senses, 5 Karmendriyas which you are using for your external activity, an asli intelligence which is within you, which humans are trying to create outside, what we call machine learning and artificial intelligence. A version of that which is more powerful, which is more capable, is within each one of you. If you try to understand how it works, how it operates, your ability to navigate this world and then move around will be far greater than anything else. So let me compliment the NIT Arunachal Pradesh for providing an excellent opportunity to you and provide you this platform. Appreciate all the faculty of this institute and all of you a great success in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.